Welcome to Integer Wealth Global. So what do? We provide funding for projects, businesses, and companies through a specifically designed financial model. How do we do that? We first address client and project investment risks in advance, and then navigate through these together with the client. The client then provides us with a third-party due diligence on their company, project, and requirement. This needs to be a third-party unbiased exercise, but our sister company, Integer Wealth Professional Services, or IWPS, can provide this function too, usually in a faster and more cost-effective manner than external service providers, as we know what is required by regulators and investors alike, what content is required and which format is acceptable, and what our investors need to see, and what the acceptable results should look like. We then prepare a prospectus for lending or investment into the client's now risk-mitigated project. Each project is bespoke in its financial requirement. Some clients need funding for more than one project. We then suggest designing a purpose-specific fund for their multiple project financial requirements. The fund is then set up in a favourable European jurisdiction which has friendly tax and exchange control regulations and complies with European and UK governance standards and regulations alike. A fund takes about 5 to 7 months to fully set up. However, there are other faster processes for access to capital, which we will cover in another explanatory video. Setting up an investment fund takes a complex set of actions and activities and needs detailed attention and constant interaction between the client, the contributing stakeholders, and Integer Wealth. We are quite a bit faster than almost any other fund creators and are much more cost-effective than our competitors too. For the price of a luxury German car, a fund provides itself as a much more usable vehicle, reusable over and over for as long as the fund exists, providing ongoing investment and access to capital for the client's projects. If the fund is open-ended, the fund then requires the constant addition of credible projects to be added to it, so that investors have an ever-growing value of their shares and returns from the fund. If the fund is a closed fund, then that means that there is a limit to what the fund requires, which is often for a very specific purpose and a specific value needed to invest in a single or multiple projects. As an example, consider the funding of a large commercial property with an additional project for a battery production facility and then the production of electric cars. Integer Wealth would establish an investment fund for the client in a purpose-specific European jurisdiction. Once the fund has been registered with the local courts and legal authorities, and after which it is approved by the jurisdictional regulators, then bank accounts and other legal entities are established for the fund. The fund always belongs to the client, where the investment capital always belongs to the investors. The fund management resides with the asset managers who are regulated and stakeholders and service providers of the fund, and where the projects and their risks are managed by Integer Wealth. Throughout the life cycle of the fund, the flow of funds into and out of the fund is managed by Integer Wealth through the financial implementation plan of the fund. This also applies to any individual project that we fund or arrange funding for. Once the repayment from the project has returned to the investor or the fund, the client is exempted from any further obligations and their project, business or company exits the process. The returns are paid out in dividends to the investor, lender, institution or fund, and the investor can withdraw their funds within the appropriate fund redemption period. As an exit strategy, the client has the option to exit the fund or sell it onward at a point where their projects are completed and the fund has repaid its investors, however, can also remain as a perpetual source of capital for the continued growth of the client. That's it. Of course, there are many more intricate details and in-depth processes involved, but this is the overall flow of funding or investment through Integer Wealth. Please visit our website at www.integerwealth.global for more information. Thank you for your time and see you soon.